Oh wow. Hey, the results of match day 8 are in, and the likes of Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain, Newcastle United, and Inter Milan miss out of the top 8. And who makes it through? Chelsea, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, and somehow Tottenham sneaked in there, or should I better say Sporting CP. Hey, Champions League and drama. Anyways, guys, welcome to the post-match review of the final game of the Champions League phase. And wow, see, if you don't watch football, I don't understand. I honestly don't know what you're enjoying again. I know it's not everybody that likes football, but the excitement with those that will be going through live score and all the other betting platforms to see who qualifies and who does not qualify and all that, if their team is winning and who is losing. Hey, the drama. The drama is plenty. You know what? Let's just go straight into the results. Now, obviously, Arsenal already sealed their top 8 qualification, winning 6 games out of 8. And the game today just made it perfect record in the group stages, which is 8 out of 8. I felt like they should have won that game, with a better margin. They won the game 3-2 against Kairat Almaty, and a lot of impression was that Arsenal is going to beat the hell out of Kairat Almaty, obviously because they are playing at home, and they obviously were qualified already, so it was going to be a really clean slate for Arsenal in this game. But it wasn't the case. It wasn't absolutely the case. But I feel like I think for Arsenal it was a case of them just ensuring that they ended the game with a win and having that clean record in the group stage, and obviously that was what Arsenal did. Now we obviously go all the way to Athletic Club that somehow lost that game against Sporting CP. Now, should I say I'm surprised? Yes, because at some point, I think even in the first half, Athletic Club were leading 2-1, and how they lost that game is still a surprise to me. But I guess Sporting CP knew how huge 3 points were going to be for them, because they knew they also had a chance of being in the top 8, and that was exactly what they did. Now, that win put Sporting CP in number 7. Did I even think they were even going to finish in the top 8? No, because that is what the Champions League does. If someone had told me they would have actually beaten Athletic Club and then qualify automatically to the round of 16, I would have said it's a lie. But it is what it is. If the other teams around them, the likes of Real Madrid, didn't think it was important to them, then Sporting CP knew how important the 3 points was, and they took it with both hands, and that was exactly what happened in that game against Athletic Club. Now, Atletico Madrid, on the other end, lost their game to Bodo Glimt. Now, I'm not even surprised that they lost that game, because this same Bodo Glimt did beat Man City in the last game. So I feel like that momentum was what Bodo Glimt were obviously still pressing on, and that somehow got them to play in the playoffs. And that is what you see with a team that is serious about the Champions League. And so back-to-back wins for them literally just pushed them into number 23 on the table, which means it still gives them a chance to play in the round of 16 if they're able to win their playoff games home and away. So it's a good one. And as I said, Atletico Madrid, I expected more from them, or even though Atletico Madrid will also be playing in the playoffs, because they did finish in number 14. But I felt like I was a bit disappointed, because they were a goal up and then losing that game 2-1. Yeah, I didn't see that coming, but it's the Champions League, right? You always get a lot of surprises. straight to Barcelona. Barcelona came from a goal down to beat Copenhagen 4-1. Now that is really, really impressive, I must say. And I think that they also having back-to-back win was able to push Barcelona into the top 8. I felt it was going to be a difficult match against Copenhagen, because I feel like they're a tough team, especially when it comes to the Champions League. But Barcelona were able to get over the line, especially in the second half. I think the second half was completely different. Lewandowski getting a goal, Rashford also getting a goal, Rafinha scoring, Yamal scoring. I feel like it was quite impressive to see that they came out in that second half more determined and ensuring that the only thing they knew they needed to do was get a win. And that was exactly what they did. Yamal also, I think, was quite impressive in that second half, scoring and assisting. Rashford also, you know, he made a huge impact in the game also. So it was quite impressive to see that they came from a goal down to eventually winning the game. They know what they have to do, and exactly, you know, they did that. So it's quite impressive to see that Barcelona will be playing, you know, straight into the round of 16 and not having to play in the playoffs. And then, to the surprise of the night, is Benfica beating Real Madrid. Now, Real Madrid were down to 9 men in this game. Asensio getting 2 yellow cards, obviously sent off, and also Rodrigo getting 2 yellow cards and sent off. Now, maybe the highlight of the game would definitely be, I'm trying to remember their goalkeeper now, Benfica's goalkeeper, Trubin. Anthony Trubin getting the 4th goal for Benfica. Now, at some point, I think when it was close to the end of the game, Real Madrid were trying to get a goal or get the equalizer to make it 3-3 and still give themselves a chance into the top 8. For whatever reason, it was down all the way to Real Madrid's post. A free kick comes in, and Trubin puts a header and scores against Courtois. It's a Champions League game. What I say is crazy. Now, the most interesting thing about this match is the fact that even with that win for Benfica, they still don't get to play in the playoffs. So their mission basically was to just spoil Real Madrid's chance of qualifying automatically to the round of 16, because now Real Madrid has dropped to number 9 on the table, just slightly outside of the top 8, and they now have to play the playoffs, and they'll be really, really disappointed with that, because I honestly didn't think they played very well in that game. I must be honest, I didn't think they played very well, even though they came from a goal up to losing the game in that manner. As I said, they did play very well. Benfica, yes, were playing at home, and I felt like they knew they didn't have anything to lose anyway. The only thing they had to do was probably spoil results for Real Madrid, and that was exactly what they did. And I think that the coach has to now talk to the likes of Asensio and Rodrigo, because getting a red card doesn't really put your team in a good spotlight, because you're looking for a chance to qualify to the round of 16. You still have a chance, which is the playoff. So if you don't now play, it's more like you've limited your chances. So that game, it was more like Benfica saying, even if we won't play in the round of 16 or in the playoffs, we are not going to make it any easier for you. You will play in the playoffs and probably still give yourself that limited chance to play in the round of 16. So it's really, really disappointing for Real Madrid. But yeah, they definitely be gutted that they didn't get a chance to go automatically to the round of 16, but at least they still have a chance, right? They really, really do still have a chance. Well, before I continue with the video, I will subscribe to the channel. Okay, please subscribe to the channel. Okay, put on your post notification button to get our latest video. So please, as I said, subscribe to the channel. Okay. Right, so Inter Milan also lost out in the top 8. They did beat Borussia Dortmund 2-0. even though I felt like they were really unlucky in their last game, that they played out a draw, and that affected their chances also. But you know what? They didn't qualify. They will also be playing in the playoffs, so they would have themselves to blame for that. They finished in number 10, so definitely they have to do better in that playoffs to even have a chance. And then Tottenham, I said, when I see, sometimes when I look at this Tottenham team, I'm just confused. I am honestly just confused. This same Tottenham struggled to beat Burnley at the weekend. See them getting to... That's why I don't understand. It's still the same team. It is. I'm sure if you ask Tottenham fans, they will tell you that they don't even understand what is going on. Because they are 8 points from relegation in the Premier League. And somehow, they finished in the top 8. Not just in any position, they finished in number 4 in the Champions League. The explanation go plenty. Because I'm honestly trying to understand how it is they are playing very well in European competition and they are struggling in the Premier League. Man, at this point, I don't even understand. But yes, Dominic Solanke and Kolomwani getting the 2 goals for Tottenham in that game. And yeah, they qualified automatically to the round. As it is even just making me laugh just saying it, because I'm just like, I don't understand. Is it not the same players? Like, what is it that Thomas Frank is telling them in the Champions League night that I don't know, should I say he's not telling them in the Premier League games? I'm confused. I don't know. In fact, they were almost close to getting 3 goals, but obviously Xavi Simon's goal was ruled off due to offside. But really, I don't know. I honestly don't know, because it's still the same set of players. I know some players are back from injury, 1 or 2 players, and 1 or 2 players also are out with injury. But the fact that they are playing really well in Champions League night and struggling in the Premier League is beyond my understanding. See, I'm never going to stress myself about Tottenham. And then Liverpool, 6-0 against Karabakh. I don't know, their case is like Tottenham also. They lost at midweek or weekend. They are scoring 6 against Karabakh. They couldn't even score 3 against Bournemouth at the weekend. Well, the good thing is, at least they also have qualified to the round of 16, automatic qualification. They finished in number 3 position, which is really good, but they have to really still improve. I don't understand it. I feel like some of these teams sometimes the way they even play is questionable. It is really and honestly questionable. But they've done what they have to do, right? They've qualified. Mohamed Salah getting a goal. Ekitike also on the score sheet. Sheza coming in very late in the game, also scoring. Yeah, it's Soboslai, I think, had about 2 assists. Van Dijk also had 2 assists. McAllister also on the score sheet. Florian Wirtz. I think they knew they just had to get the win and probably score a lot of goals to even qualify, and that was exactly what Liverpool did. And then Manchester City also defeating Galatasaray 2-0. Now, don't forget, when I look at Man City anyways, I feel like sometimes they play well and they don't get the result. But this time around, I think they played really well. The fact that they're at home, and then Haaland returning to scoring ways for Manchester City, and then Ryan Cherki also getting the 2nd goal. I think they just did enough to be able to, also finish in the top 8, which was a very, very good one. They literally are just in that number 8 position, and I think it's because of the goal difference, right? Because I feel like Man City did concede a lot of goals in this Champions League. So yeah, I feel like the 2 goals that they scored just put them in that number 8 position. I think is a good one for them. And then Chelsea going from 1 goal up to 2 goals down, and then eventually scoring 2 other goals to seal the win against Napoli. I think it's an impressive one, because the Chelsea that I know would have struggled to even get a draw in that game. honestly. They would have struggled to get a goal, especially I think under Enzo Mirasta, they would have struggled to get a draw, because the fact that they were down to 2 goals down, especially in the second half, they were really finding it difficult to string passes along. And I felt like the 3-man backline that Rosinho did start with, I think that made them a bit shaky in the first half, hence the reason why they went 2 goals down in that first half. And yeah, Enzo Fernandez scoring obviously was a penalty, and yeah, it was the right call. And then João Pedro getting the 2 goals with Cole Palmer brace assist. Now that's an impressive work for Cole Palmer that is coming back into the squad. He came in the second half, obviously, and you know, the passes he made to João Pedro were quite impressive. That's the Cole Palmer that we are used to seeing. So it was very good that he returns to the team, have records 2 assists, and then João Pedro also 3 goals in I think 2 games now, or even 4 goals in 3 games now. It's quite impressive. So yeah, that is what I'm sure Chelsea fans want to see. João Pedro keep scoring, and it's even quite interesting to see the fact that Rosinho didn't even bring in Delap or McGee. He didn't bring any of them. He finished the game with João Pedro. It's quite impressive, and that win also put Chelsea straight into the round of 16. They I think they finished in number 6 position, yes, just behind Barcelona. So it was good, and the pressure really was on them before the game because they needed to get a win. There was nothing else they could have done more than them getting a win, and they did that, and I think that was really impressive. Bayern also were able to get over the line against Eindhoven. It was a 2-1 win for Bayern. Obviously, also that sealed their automatic qualification to the round of 16. And then to the surprising result is Paris Saint-Germain playing out a 1-1 draw against Newcastle. Now, these 2 teams would definitely be looking for a win. However, Paris Saint-Germain, who had been in the top 8 for I think the longest in the Champions League, somehow miss out in the top 8. They and Newcastle literally followed they followed each other into the playoff position. So Paris Saint-Germain finished in number 11, Newcastle finished obviously number 12 with 14 points respectively, and both sides will definitely be disappointed, and should I say maybe more Paris Saint-Germain, because as I said, even till match day 16 they were still in the top 8, I think even number 5 or number 6 at some point. And so it was going to be really painful that neither side was obviously able to get the 3 points, and they both had to drop into the playoff positions. And don't forget that Paris Saint-Germain were in this same position last season. They also didn't qualify to the automatic spot in the round of 16. They had to play the playoffs, and that was literally when they picked up form, you know, winning the playoffs, the round of 16, round of 8, semi-finals, and winning the title. And so I don't know if I should say it's going to be the same thing again this time around, but they would definitely, let me even say both of them, Paris Saint-Germain and Newcastle, will feel really disappointed that they didn't qualify to automatically to the round of 16. Now, looking at the table, Premier League teams have always shown that difference, right? They've always shown that they will always be the bigger league, you know, compared to the other top 4 leagues, right? Because how do you explain that Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, all 4 out of, I think, about 6 teams, and even Manchester City, yes, 5 out of 6 teams that qualified from the Premier League to the Champions League qualify automatically to the round of 16. That's a huge difference. Now, I know the Premier League spends a lot of money compared to these other 4 leagues, and definitely you should see the difference. But you would expect that the likes of, okay, looking at Spanish La Liga, the only team that have qualified automatically now to the round of 16 is Barcelona, and they had to do that with extra work. Real Madrid are going to have to play the playoffs. The same thing with Atletico Madrid, the same thing with Athletic Club. So you can always tell the difference. Paris Saint-Germain also dropped into the playoffs. So the other teams that are outside of the Premier League that have qualified to the round of 16 automatically is Bayern Munich, obviously, who are top of the Bundesliga. Then Sporting CP, who, to be honest, as I said, is a shock. So it just goes to show the amount of quality that teams in the Premier League will definitely always bring to the Champions League. The difference will always be there. If you have 6 teams out of the Premier League and 5 of them are qualifying automatically to the round of 16, it's a big statement. It's a huge statement. So I think the other teams, especially in the Spanish La Liga and the Bundesliga, the Serie A and all that, have to keep improving themselves, because now that about 5 teams are qualified, it gives more Premier League teams the chance to qualify to the Champions League next season. So imagine that the top 5 teams in the Premier League, of course, it will involve the likes of Liverpool, Aston Villa, Chelsea, Manchester City, and all those other teams finishing in the top 5. So definitely they will automatically again qualify to the Champions League. So this will reduce the number of teams that are coming from maybe the Spanish La Liga, coming from Serie A and all those things. So they have to also invest as much as Premier League is doing into their own league. The difference will always be there. Honestly, the difference will always be there. If not the fact that Paris Saint-Germain and Newcastle played out a draw, there's a chance that Newcastle could have also qualified automatically to the round of 16. So it's a huge statement that out of about 4 teams or 5 teams in the Spanish teams that qualified to the Spanish La Liga, only one made it automatically into the round of 16. Paris Saint-Germain and even all the teams from the French Ligue, none of them made it into the round of 16 automatically. You look at Serie A and all those other teams, Bundesliga, Bayern Leverkusen, Bayern Munich, then Borussia Dortmund. You look at all those things, it's only Bayern Munich that made it automatically into the round of 16. The other teams, they are all going to be in the playoffs. So the difference will definitely always be there. And as I said, I don't think there are any other leagues out there that can do it better than the Premier League. This is why you always see players want to sign for clubs in the Premier League, even if it's the Newcastles and the Aston Villas, because they know that when it comes to these European competitions, they will always have the edge, above all the other leagues, in the world. Anyways, guys, those are my thoughts on the results of match day 8. Let me know what your thought is. Share your thoughts in the comment section. What you think. Do you think Arsenal can still continue this run of wins, especially when it gets to the round of 16? Or do you think that Paris Saint-Germain might not have a chance this time around to qualify to the round of 16? Yeah, just share your thoughts in the comment section. Also, don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms at _official FSH. Anyways, guys, until I come your way again, enjoy the rest of your week. Bye bye.